Honey.
Are you looking for the button to turn off the sound?
Yes. I was vibing out and I forgot
There we
about
go.
it.
We need to find a way to solve this because every stream we do, we're like, you press the sound, I press play, and then we'll see.
See, yeah.
Anyways, it's all good.
Oh, we're doing it live, folks. Well, welcome to Contentstack Pulse for developers. Hi, Tim. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. We even started with my screen shared. Like this is a
Nailed
little
it.
bit of a rough start,
doing-
but here we go. We're
All
fine.
right. So today we have an awesome stream. We're going to talk about how to customize your CMS and create great editor experience. So let's see.
That's the way, man. We see it so often that like developers kind of decide how a CMS is set up. And if you do that with a developer brain, it can work sometimes really well, but you also set certain expectations of what the data model looks like because you designed it as a developer, right? And
Right.
then not everybody has the same brain. And so let's today just dive in a little bit about how can we make it as friendly as possible for everybody. And then if there's something that you as a developer feel like, hey, this is kind of odd, in code you can solve a lot of things, but in forms, not so much.
Not so
And so,
much.
yeah.
And like, I think one of the important things about a CMS in general, but also content modeling, is to think of it as a two-way mirror, right? So the back end is focused on what developers do. They're building it, it goes directly to the database. But the front side of it is you're building that as an interface, as a UI for content creators and editors to actually write their content. So you've got to think about both pieces simultaneously, which means you got to make sure you're getting information from the folks who are actually going to use the forms.
Exactly. So today what we'll show is actually Lo and I are working on a production ready stack with proper scale that's going to go live soon. And so we'll just use those things because we are together now learning, okay, how does it work? When I actually develop this and I have to add like 15 pages, how does that feel? And you know what? What I built as a developer didn't feel great. So I'm actually revisiting our own data model and changing it. And so today we want to show like how can we like customize colors on buttons and things like that, like simple things. But then also we've actually created custom fields with the developer hub in Contentstack to be able to do certain things that we need that are super niche, that don't always translate to a CMS interface that works for all use cases. So that's why there's a developer hub, so you can do these things. And then we have a little surprise later on where we went all out and built like our own little tool to talk to Contentstack so we can do even more our own stuff. That's about the gist, right, Lo?
Yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So what do you want to jump into first? I think we should jump into a simpler example first.
Let's start with the basics, shouldn't we? Shall we?
Yes.
So first of all, we made sure that in this project, we literally call it developers. Yeah, naming is hard, let's be honest.
Yes.
So basically, in this project, everything works with Visual Builder and Live Preview. It's very important for people to work that way. And once you do, you kind of don't want to go back. It's really nice. And so we have these, let's just go through the visual experience first. Like our homepage has a whole bunch of components. Like everything we build is component driven. And so these components are basically modular blocks that you see, this is a block, like this is the hero. And then we have a block that's a list. And the list actually links to things that are like blog posts or other things that we don't really have to like edit graphically as much. But like these landing pages, You really want to like be able to just select this and every week change this, right? So that's why
Right.
we implemented it this way. And the first case I wanted to show is actually just these buttons. You see, those are actually different styles, right? So then when you click on those, let's just open the form here. You can see we've actually added a CTA modular block here. And so this is the first CTA here. So it says start here. And so this is the thing we wanted to talk about, because we see quite often that companies have these incredible design systems, right? And then in code, they have decided in the hero, if it's the first oh, I cannot speak anymore. In the hero, if it's the first button, it has to look like this. That's what the code dictates. But sometimes an editor might want that button to look somewhat different, even a thing that's in your design system. But if the code has decided that the first one is always teal and the second one is always like grayish here, maybe I zoom in a little, then that whole editor experience kind of breaks down. So what we did is like, well, we give you a variant field and say, well, how about this is becoming now an underline button? And then it makes that, the same button with an underline, or like we have a bunch of different ones, like a link only.
We like all the options.
Oh, we like all the options. Like this one actually works on light mode, as you can see. But now we have all the options to actually work with this stuff. And let me just put it back to what we had. And so this allows content editors to have the freedom, but then within our design system, like I cannot really do my own thing other than the options that I was given by the system. And it's not even that hard to set this up. So let's have a look at the content model for this CTA. And for us, a CTA is a thing that comes back everywhere. So we made this a global field. And so a global field is just a group of fields that you can put in anywhere, basically. So this is a link. Of course, a link has a URL and a title. And then we have this variant field, which is just a select. And then we just added all the choices, right? So I just went to the code, found all the options that we had in the CSS, and I just put those in. Even if those are like, white secondary or secondary border, we just know these exist in our system. So we're just going to put them in and then trust that our designers or our content editors use it well. And we just make this one the default. So when you don't think about this, it kind of just works. And we can actually show this in code as well.
Yeah, so let's do it.
I just opened my button.tsx And so this is in our atoms folder. And so we're using atomic design. So atoms are the smallest pieces. And then if you actually look at the field, the things here, then after that we get like molecules and organisms. There's a few outliers here, but we go from atom to molecule to organism. So actually a molecule could be a search input plus a button. And in here we have a bunch of things, like a code block is one thing, an icon is one thing, a date is one thing. And then you combine them in molecules, which is like an author card is like Lowe's image plus Lowe's name. Together is an author. Anyways, there we go.
Yeah, and just like that is the equivalent of what we were just talking about, which is global fields. So thinking about those sort of repeatable content patterns that you're going to have. And if it's something you're going to use across multiple content types, then you really want that to be a global field, and making those kind of decisions while you're content modeling is super important.
Yeah, and also it doesn't hurt to like revisit this once in a while. Like Lo and I have done this in our sleep for many projects, and even here we have revisited those things like 4 times.
Yes,
testing it. Exactly, but now that it's down, it's so easy to use. We can just ask an AI build us a homepage, and it just knows which things to use because it's so clear. So anyways, we have this button variant type here with all the things we just saw. Actually, it has somewhat less now that I see here than that I actually put in. I see that now. Okay, I'm going to have to fix that. There you go. It's an iterative process. In the code, we also have button sizes, and there's a default style. And this kind of looks painful, but you do this once. So we have a variant. So if it's ghost, use those things. It's the primary fill button. Like CS button is our base, essentially. And then you have all these like teal accent and all this other stuff. This is all Tailwind. And this is all combined together in our button component. And so we can choose the size, the variant, and there's a few other things we don't have to worry about right now. And then, of course, there's our area roles and labels and like all the important stuff. And the fact that it looks somewhat different when you select another thing is just we add different CSS classes.
Right.
And so this is a quite simple component that gives a lot of power to content editors, even though it seems like for a developer, like it's a piece of cake, we don't care. For a content editor, this is huge. And so essentially our project is full of those kind of little things.
Yeah, because like you said earlier, you want to provide flexibility, but inside of a container, right? So,
Exactly.
one, that keeps things nice and ordered and easier for you to iterate, but also on the editor side, they don't really have to think about this. The options are just available, and it's always going to be in accordance with the design system of your organization or company.
Yeah, and really in the case of these kind of setups, when you have like these modular blocks here, just make sure that you look at your code and your design system. Like, because if I don't add like this component here, like we can actually remove this technology list and then it still works. And we can remove the CTAs, it still works because our component was just built. If you added it, work. If you remove it, it works. So we're just following
Yeah,
the design system literally. And you can say, I don't want more than 2 or 3 of those
the
buttons
buttons.
here because our design system says like 2 max, maybe 3, stuff like that. You can all do this. Lo, what do you think? Do we go to like the next level
Yeah,
complexity?
let's do it.
Next level. So we have a bunch of like, well, if you just saw where let me just go back here. This website has a ton of lists, right? All these different lists. So these are like the latest items from our engineering blog. So this component just a query to just give me the latest based on date. But then these are 2 curated guides that I selected for the homepage specifically. And so that's a different way of doing this, but this is also a reference to a guide. But sometimes, like this list, this is a free form list where I actually said, give me the image and the link and the little, the title here to just add here by hand, which means this list component can do so many things. And we just wanted to, for us to make that a little bit easier to use. And so
Yeah.
let's go to the first, idea about that. Let's just go to that homepage.
Yeah, and you want people to be able to make these kind of decisions, right? Particularly when you're talking about volatile content. So that's anything that could change within a reasonable amount of time or high
Exactly.
frequency changes, right? You want to give the freedom to people to be able to switch those pieces out as easy as possible.
Exactly. And so for this one, for example, this is the first one, like our engineering blog. And in here, we've now chosen to say, okay, we didn't make cart by hand. We didn't link to existing ones because if I now would make like a new blog post, I would have to click, select the latest. So we just have a custom query that finds the blog posts based on date and limit of 4, descending. And that is actually a really nice thing. But you can see our first custom field here coming up already, because sometimes we want to filter the list just on AI things or just on other stuff. But the CMS didn't really know about the taxonomies here. Like I can type it in and add another one. But what if a taxonomy changes or I spell it wrong like this? Then this is
Yeah.
basically just broken. And so what we did instead is we made a custom field. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. We actually make a custom field, which I have to find it back now. It's all good. Which looks at all the taxonomies that we have, just puts it here, and every time I click one, it fills out that form for me. So if this taxonomy changes, it changes here, we're good to go. This is connected. And so those kind of custom fields are just a nice thing to do for our weird niche thing. And so why not do them, right? And so another one is, let's say I'm not querying, but I'm adding like a custom card. What this means is I have to type my own title, my own description, choose an image or find an image URL, and then like to the link. There's a bunch of stuff here. And if you have to do this for 14 items, you're not going to be happy, right?
Right.
So
It's a
what
lot.
I did is like, let's say I want to add a card to this blog post that I wrote like yesterday. Oh no, that's actually this morning. I wrote this morning. I'm sometimes you're prolific and you forget about it. I did a
Yeah.
lot. So I made a custom import from link. So when I type this, it extracts the information from here. And now it just filled out all this stuff just for me because I kind of just didn't want to do that myself. So when we hit save here, all right, I just did publish. So our website actually now has this. Let's see how that looks.
This is one of my favorite features
There we
in
go.
our project so far.
So we just added this without actually having to find the image on my website, find the link, all that boring stuff. It kind of just worked. Right? So those are like the little helpers that not everybody always thinks about, but it's very easy to build stuff like this. Let me now remove it because that's not what we want for this.
Not what you want.
So let me go back to cards. Yeah, so it's this one.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No, the kebab menu.
There we go.
Go.
Let's delete this block. Okay, we're good again. Let me publish. There's people looking at this right now. Hence me. Okay.
Tim, can you talk a little bit about, before we move on for this, like why we set up the tabs the way we did in terms of actually filling out content in the forms?
Oh yeah, of course. So basically, as you can see, there's kind of a lot going on with all these pages because we're building, let's say, a developer blog item. And that needs to link to, let's say, our Contentstack docs or our academy, to maybe a live stream or to some other landing page, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on. Like the default is just title URL. But then we have this whole additional items. Like we can add an FAQ.
Yeah.
Let me just go to a blog post. It's a little bit easier so you can see a little bit more. Maybe this one. So this one actually has FAQs. So is this the end of front-end development? Not at all, luckily. And so you have to add, that's a lot of clicks. And there's like potentially, if it's open, there's a lot of screen real estate being taken, right? I could also add a notice here that says, hey, we just updated this thing last week. Make sure to read again. Then we have related items, which is a whole list again, where we can link to, let's say, our docs or whatever we want, right? And so I mean, not add it now. That adds up. And then we also have our metadata, which is basically descriptions, images, SEO stuff. And there might be certain people that only work on the SEO of this website. The only thing they have to do is open the thing, go to the metadata and optimize it. Or click the AI assistant that says, optimize my SEO, please. Let me do that. There we go. Okay, we just optimized the SEO. So you can do stuff like this and then only see this part. And like a blog post is relatively simple because it has an author, a date, taxonomy, and some text. But like when you go to, let's say, the homepage, let's not save that SEO thing. There's a bunch more components here, right? So we have the hero, then we have a list, another list, a 2-column component with lists inside and other things. So there's lots of stuff going on here. It's really nice that this is in tabs, right?
Yeah, and it helps you not get confused because I've seen a lot of forms where it's just you're scrolling, especially when you have to update content and you're looking for just one field. The tabs help you when it's broken up, you can find your fields much easier. Or you can sort of design these tabs as a developer as a way to communicate to editors. Follow this process.
Don't touch this part, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Actually, Christine says a good thing. Like the tabs actually make it easier for the AI to also understand it because it's like more scoped down now, which is cool.
Yeah.
How you set it up though, like everything that's either a global field, a modular blocks component, or a group can be a tab, as you can see here. So when I open this, I can just say advanced, show as tab, please. And then one fun thing that we recently released is actually you can now check the different versions you have. So you see this, I did that last week to make the metadata a tab, or components, I mean, sorry. So it is now a tab, and so you can see that I did that. But if we go back to, let's say, version 16, this one I didn't modify much. I'll just go back a bit lower. You see all these things that I changed? It's really cool to see all the differences here. So that helps you once you want to see what changed. Lo, should we have a look at maybe some code for how we made these custom fields and how to set that up? Just short.
Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, let's walk through it.
Before I show code, you can actually go to our developer hub, and you see I have our developer app
Yeah.
here that I made.
Custom app.
This has a few things that you might want to know about for what we're showing later, but we start simple. Apps can have UI locations, right? And so you can do a whole stack dashboard takeover. You can do a sidebar for an image. Like we did a stream where I think we did like a nano banana image generator.
We
You just
did.
add it
Yeah.
to the sidebar. Or we have app configuration, or we can add like a JSON rich text editor button. Lots of stuff you can do, right? And this is a stack app, but you can also do an organization app. So you can make your own product here inside Content Stack if you want. This one, however, has locations for custom fields. Do you hear my dogs?
Yes, they're
Oh,
misbehaving.
no. Hold for a second. I'm going to be giving them a stern
Okay.
talking to. 1 second.
Yeah. Hold on. Dog alert, everyone. So, where's everybody from who's joining in? We can cover that.
Dog
There you
alert
go.
over.
Dog alert over.
So where was I? Oh yeah, so we created custom fields for this one, and I created 3 of them, right? So we built guides, so we want to have specific things for the URL. We have this taxonomy terms thing we just showed, and then we have this link metadata one where you just paste the URL and it finds them and fills out the form. Like those are relatively simple ones, and you can actually see it says slash custom field slash link metadata, right? So this is actually something that's hosted on launch. If you look at our hosting here, we have a Contentstack launch URL, which is just running a React app. And you can make that React app in Vue or wherever you want. Even like we just have an SDK you can use and run. And so if I show that code a little bit, or not this one, this one. So this is our marketplace app boilerplate. And I cleaned it up a little because I didn't need all the features, but you can just go to our docs, download the marketplace boilerplate app, sorry. You can like how I built this is I wrote a little bit of like documentation that's good for AI agents. And we can share it in the chat later. And I just say to my AI agent, I want to make a custom field that does this thing. Here are the docs that I wrote. You can check and look at the code and just build it for me. You know what's funny? Those 3 fields we just showed you, I didn't code them. My AI friend coded them for me, which is a ridiculous thing that it's so easy to do. And so I almost didn't steer it. It just kind of built this for me. So
Yeah.
actually, we will have a link to that. Here, I'll just find it.
Yeah, because it's able to build such great things for us, right? Because we give it a bunch of context. So it
Exactly.
knows exactly what we want, and it knows to review all of the information that we've given it, all the examples, the structure, everything.
Yeah, so we have this Contentstack 5 coding documentation. It's currently on my personal because it's not good enough to just say, "Oh, world, use this." This is just bear with us to that we built this the best way. But the fact that we just showed you these custom things that I don't even know how they're coded, that's proves that this kind of works. And of course, we're not going to go to production not knowing what's in that code. Like, let's be honest here. But if you actually look at like, this is like a guide to build. So this is essentially just a distilled version of our docs with my thoughts in it. Explainers about how the code works, all this, and you give it this and the code base and you just build it. It's actually works extremely well. And so there's the farmer. Now my dogs are protecting me. Apologies. So basically, let's have a look at like that link metadata one.
Yeah.
So it built a bunch of utils for this one because what it has to do is, of course, query that URL and get all the information out of it. Like it literally, like I didn't build this, right? It just built a a parser for that document that it's getting back, looking at the meta field and the properties and stuff, and figuring out like, let me see what it's using for this. How is it actually getting this stuff? This is very interesting.
Yeah, where is it?
Isn't it crazy that I'm finding out how this was coded on the stream and it works so well I didn't actually check?
You have
Okay,
to
here.
check the code that AI spits out, folks.
Let me just give you those docs. Use with care, but they actually work, Anna. Here they come. Oh, I might have posted them accidentally to YouTube. Lo, can you have a look to post them also so Anna can see them?
Yes. Hold on 1 second. I'm also responding to
All right,
Anna
so
about.
if we have a look at this, oh, this one, no. Basically, it's just using a DOM parser, which is just an npm package. It gets the HTML, puts it in, and then it just parses a bunch of stuff for us. So this is stuff you could build yourself, but this is so common now. This kind of stuff just works, right? And so it has a bunch of those helper functions, and then it uses a lot of our, the config information that it's getting from the SDK that is actually, hosting our custom field. And it's just, there's a whole bunch of like string parsing and figuring out, hey, what do I do? And then here's our use SDK app, and then we get like our custom location. And in here are a bunch of functions like set data or listen to this thing. If the content editor does this, you can do some code. Like this is just normal customization field API related stuff. And so we're literally just, when I click a button, I told it what fields to find and fill those. Like, let me see if there's a set data here. There we go. Just found it. So it sets it, and we normalize it, of course, and fill it out. And this is a relatively big one, as you can see, but there's also simpler ones. Like there's a bunch of stuff we can, I think we actually have a bunch of information on how to like start simply. And also, if you follow those 5 docs, they might be for AI agents, but if you read them as a human, they read really well. They're actually really quite simple, explaining you all the basic things that you need. Because as it turns out, when you talk to your AI like a human, it understands you pretty well.
Yeah.
And that's why we have these. And that's why I'm finding out on this call here how they work. And this is the thing, right? We don't use those a whole lot yet. And it's just Lo and I. So for us, if this kind of fails, we can do it by hand. Everybody's happy. But of course,
Right.
when we start scaling and we get guest people on here, actual content editors that have to help us create content, we will for sure sharpen those. But that's how AI has helped us to move fast, because that whole website was built in 2 weeks, including all the content, all the stuff, all these extra things we're showing. So
yeah,
okay,
and if you can get AI to build you a strong foundation, right? That's a great place to start and a great place to iterate from. Then you fix it, and then you test with your editors. One of the most important things that you can do as a developer is observe people who use the tools that you build, because it will give you extraordinary information and show you a lot of things based on decisions you made affect how other people work, right? And maybe you need to incorporate more of their workflow or the way in which they, create their content. It's super important to observe the users who are using the tools that you build.
100%. Like I might be able to show one thing which is actually quite interesting if we actually go to this website. So we're doing stuff with guides. And so once I show this one, after that, we can actually look into like the more crazy stuff we're also doing. Let's see if my visual building one is here. Yes. So this is not finished stuff. This is just Lo and I trying things out. And so guides actually have multiple parts, because you don't want to read like a never-ending page here. So this is like the ultimate guide to visual building, right? And then inside is, okay, how does live preview actually work? Or what is the core architecture and what are the moving parts? And so you can see these are sub parts of this guide, and you can see the URL has the base plus that chapter here, right? The sub part is inside. But the CMS doesn't have the concept of this is below that, because like a headless CMS is just, this is your content, you query it the way you want. You can make references, of course, but it doesn't mean that you can have like these super very specific things that we needed for this to create these URLs. So what we did is like, if you actually write, like if we have a look at that guide, and let's find this. Let's find this guide here. So I actually, this is the URL you get, right? When you
Right.
type the title, that's your URL. And then this one is not a chapter, but it has chapters connected here, like how live preview works. So when we go to that guide, what the URL needs to be is that previous guide plus this. But the
Right.
CMS doesn't know about that because that's not a URL type thing you can add. Like that's not built because it's kind of a, I'm not sure, it's probably a niche thing. So by
Yeah, the
default, when
parent
you make
child
this new guide,
relationship.
exactly, it's like this weird like parent relationship and change the URL based on that. Like this
Yeah.
happens in real life quite a lot, but in our use cases, not so much. Stuff for URL building is coming, by the way, in the CMS. Like that's much more sophisticated than now, soon. However, right now, when I start typing how live preview works, this is my URL. But now my front end doesn't understand. It thinks this is the main guide and not a chapter, right?
Right.
So we built this little thing that says, well, find my nested URL. So find my parent, get that URL and fix this one. So I just find the parent, it looked at it, and it just added that URL here.
Yes.
And now it works. And the thing is, Lo and I could have governance ourselves around this and then put
Yeah.
a bunch of helper fields in and tell all our colleagues, oh, you have to do it like this, and then answer 15 questions a day because why does this not work, that guide that I just made. That's because we then have to explain that this works this way. If you can just make a thing and prompt this into existence, literally this was 2 prompts, and now this lives here and this
Right.
works perfectly. um Sorry, go on, Lo.
I was just going to say, and the amount of onboarding and education that you need to do for, having a generated URL fixer versus having to, craft out each part you have to do to create that URL on your own saves everybody time and also just makes people's lives easier if you don't have to worry about URL curation at this stage
Exactly.
when you're just trying to, write your content.
And one big thing is like we could have made a custom field that automatically did it. However, if you have this URL field, Visual Builder works out of the box. I can now just go here, and because
Yep.
there's a correct URL field, it works in Visual Builder and it loads the right front end based on that URL in our code. And now I can start, adding and doing all the things I need to do, which is super nice. All right, Lo, I think, oh, look at this bug here on the side. What is happening?
Yeah.
Okay,
Ooh.
nobody noticed. It's fine. We'll continue.
Yeah. It's okay. We still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, but we're moving fast. So let's go to our next thing, which is a little bit more insane. This is no, not insane, but it's the next level of how can you make something even better for your content editors because you have a very specific use case.
Yes. Right.
And why I want to go there is we are now looking at how people work nowadays with AI acceleration. And you notice that actually building is getting easier. Not for everybody yet. It doesn't fit all cases. But in the case that Lo and I have, this got so much easier that we figured like, okay, our AI knows all the APIs of this platform. We use all the rules that this platform has. Why don't we just build an interface that is just for writing? Because this website has a ton of writing. Like it's all
Yeah.
writing. And wouldn't it be nice if we just had something that looked like Notion that is fully focused on writing and we don't have to worry about anything else? Well, you can build that. And we are looking at the future of this developer hub right now, right where we just were, to actually make this so extensible that it's really easy for people to make a platform thing outside of Contentstack. Their own little micro app for things they do every day. That you don't have to go to the CMS and click 15 buttons and do exactly what you want. No, you make that a one button click in your own little app. Well, why not do that? So we did. So we built our authoring tool here. Let me zoom in a little. So
Yeah.
this connects
That's
to
good.
Contentstack with OAuth through our developer hub. So we have this is literally an OAuth provider where we say this user is only allowed to do these things. So we're only editing blog posts, stuff like that, right? So let me just log in with my user. I'm going to Contentstack. And now this is our little CMS that we need. We don't need all the other features. We need a very simplified version. We just have like a little audit log to see what happened. We can look at the configuration of how this is set up. And like you can see, okay, we have 18 blog posts, like we have 9 people writing, and you can have a look if they're published or not. And we don't need more than this. There's no advanced search or any of that. And so when you look at these blog posts, you can actually just open one. And as you can see, I need to zoom out a bit because, there it's
Yeah,
better.
it's
We
good.
literally just built, if you want to write, why not build the whole interface like an actual writing system? This is just, this is almost like a Google Doc or a Notion. And if you select something, this little thingy pops up. And you know what's funny? This also happens in Contentstack's rich text editor, but then you have all that other context. We didn't want to. And so I integrated a bunch of stuff where I type slash, and then I can say, well, it's insert an image. So it gets all these images from Contentstack and just adds it in. And the moment I hit save now, this blog post just, is saved to Contentstack. And if I want, I can actually look that up in the visual builder. And you can see I just added this image. And so
Yes.
it's just the same thing, but exactly how we want it. And that opens, sorry, go on, Lo.
I was just going to say this is really awesome, but I also want to make sure we do the import content because it's my
Oh,
favorite
yeah,
part of
there's
this
a few things
authoring
I'm going
tool.
to show you. Yes. I just wanted to set this base of how we wanted to do our thing, and then doors open, right? Then there's
Yeah.
other stuff. For example, we wanted our own AI assistant exactly just for this. Because, for example, here, when you open the metadata, these are all the fields we're just looking at, like the image, if it's, the canonical URL, descriptions, URLs, all this stuff, taxonomies, it's just away. We don't care. And we don't care in so much that we can say, fill metadata for me. So the AI now looks at this, it knows exactly what those fields are, and it just fills it out for us. And so it just pre-filled, like it found subjects to add, it added 5 FAQs, it made it a blog posting. And so if I just started writing here myself and I just add to the AI, just fill out my fields, it just fills these out, right?
Yeah.
We can go as far as to say, okay, I don't want this image. Just give me another image and create it ourselves. This might take a sec. Let's see if it does. So the moment you have this base in place and you know how to code with AI, things start flying. This might actually take too long for this.
Oh, yeah, because the image generation takes a little.
Yeah, so what it's doing now is looking at the whole content, then analyzing what would be the perfect prompt to the AI to make the image. And then the AI is also making the image. So this is taking a sec. We'll come back to that in a sec. There's a bunch of other stuff where we can just say improve clarity or make concise or fix grammar, or we can just select like this link and say expand.
And
And now it's expanding it for us. And oh, yeah, okay. Oh, it's fixed itself. Look, that's nice.
okay, yeah.
And see, it even says, oh, this is the HTML I created for you. I just put it in here. And so it actually we go a bit deeper. So let's not save this. Go to a new guide and say this is an empty guide, right? Let's say what I want to do is images with, or content stack images with Next.js image.
Ooh.
Whoa. Right, so I want this. So for that, we actually have a whole API. Like this is a thing, but it's a lot, right? So
Yeah.
what we built is like, we want to write a guide in human readable stuff, but not giving them this whole thing. This is just a reference. So what I can do now is, okay, I'm going to save just this title here. Now I go to AI and say, okay, I want to write content stack with images in Next.js. I'm going to copy this URL and say, write from URL. And so now it's going to ask me a few questions on this. Right? Okay, do you want the guide to cover building transformation? Oh, there's a bunch more. Okay, so we want to do app, right?
App router. Yeah.
App router for sure. Then, which content stack images host? Do EU for now, it's fine. You could say all, whatever. Do you want the guide to cover transforming URLs? Yes, go.
Yes.
That's the
Uh,
whole thing. And so
yeah,
now,
I'm like,
it,
absolutely.
so now it's actually it looked at that whole page. It figured out how that works with Next.js, and then gives you a bunch of really nice tools. And what this does, it's actually going to BrandKit, which is a Contentstack product, where we set up our guide voice. You have to write this way in that format with code blocks and doing all those things when you're writing a guide. So we just asked BrandKit to write a guide with that voice, with that URL, and then the smartness of the model. And we now have a really good guide. Like we checked this. This is like other than whatever it did with the
Yeah.
title, this is actually like good stuff. And we made like these little things like add more code examples. Like, because why not? So how about we go to, oh, it has code examples everywhere basically. But it's pretty interesting that you can say, I need more code examples, fix the grammar, make it more concise, or improve clarity. Like things like that for guides is really important. Like I can actually go here and say, well, add me a code example, please.
Yeah, let's see what it
Now
does.
in here, it's writing code for us. I don't know why it's so much though.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you want one
Oh,
for every bullet
it's
point?
like, okay, stop. It's fine. It's fine. Anyways, um, that first pass is actually really, really good. And so this helps us to move like super fast. And so there's other stuff like when we have guest writers, we love how people post on like their own. So this is one of mine, right? So we can actually now go here and say, well, let's not save this. This is a little intense. We can actually go to import content, and we can
Yes, my
also just
favorite part.
we can literally just say import a Google Doc, because our teams write a lot of content in Google Docs, right? So we can literally just grab that doc, put it in here, and it just imports it. In this case, let's do a blog post from a URL. So now what it will do, it will look at that blog post, use some AI to extract all the information it needs and that it knows about our setup. So let's see. I'm looking here at the console. It's taking a second. So it's reading it now and it's going through OpenAI. So it's taking a sec.
Yeah.
But it has failed before if it takes too long on the hosting. Here we go.
There we go.
So what it did, it found the title, it found the author, it found the description, the image, the canonical URL, and it actually detected me that I exist in the system, and it wrote FAQs. Okay, I like this. Let's create a blog post. So now it's putting it into the CMS, and here it is. And you know what's interesting? Like it doesn't actually have, well, it has some of that metadata already because it found that. It just, it even added the taxonomy subjects.
Economy, yeah.
It's like it did the whole thing. Okay, let's save. And now let's edit. Let's see the real thing. Oh, there it is. Well, maybe we can actually see it in Visual Editor.
We should be able to.
And now
There we
we just added we literally just added a blog post from a guest writer, including its canonical URL. And then when you click on that from the code, it actually has all like the UTM tags and stuff that links back. And so we're not showing you here, hey, we build a new product you can use as a customer. No, what we're showing you is if you know how AI works, you know how our product works, and you know what you want, you can build this in 2 days. That's what I did. Like,
Yeah.
times have changed. You just need to know what you want to build with a bit of experience. And so for us, this is perfect. And you can see I'm running it on local host because there's some long running tasks that don't always work in serverless hosting. It's really interesting. You can do these things now. And actually, though, I wanted to add this to our blog, but now we just did. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
There's some more stuff. We won't go too deep, but like we have like a whole list of all the people that we have in the system, and we can add new ones from here and link them to blog posts. So we don't have to go to the CMS. And there's one that's very, very, I'm not sure this is going to work, but we can try. Do you want to try?
I tried it the other day and it worked pretty well.
Oh, here we go. So,
but it didn't output what I expected fully.
No. So this is something that's a little crazy because when you have AI and it starts working, you have more audacious goals every time. And so this was one of those where at one morning I was like, I'm going to build a page creator so I don't have to build my pages at all. So let's build an alternative homepage. Add
I I did
low.
like all the questions it asked us.
Yeah,
It
because
asked
I
you.
built in that it's adding a bunch of questions. And I'm not sure this is the right way. Okay, I want um, lists to the latest blog posts as a query and some info about AI and the Contentstack MCP. I don't know what's gonna come out of this, but we're just gonna
Yeah,
try.
we'll see.
And so, because this is so specific to this project, it's relatively easy to build because we don't have to think about how 1,000 other people might use this, right? So, this is going to be a landing page.
Landing page. Yeah.
All right. Who is the target audience? Technical leads. I actually didn't build these questions in. I'm asking the model to come up with questions. Oh, I don't see a title conflict. Keep these? Yes, please. So,
Excellent.
I built this in a way that I don't want to always chat. Chat is not the interface for me, but this makes it very nice. So, what do you want? Okay, so we want the hero, we want the blog post query list, and do a rich text. Yeah, cool. I'm down with that. Uh, Built with AI. Yeah, sure. That's a page that exists, by the way. So it found that page that exists. This is like super cool. This has a custom MCP behind it that knows about our data. So for the AI plus content stack overview, what should be the emphasis? Conceptual is cool for now. Okay, it's making a plan. Lo, it's actually kind of working well.
Yeah.
Um, Please proceed. I like this.
Yeah, it feels very collaborative when you get
That's the
asked a bunch
point.
of
I wanted to
questions.
be clever in
Yeah.
coming back with questions. And so it actually knows about our project specifically. So it's like, okay, there's a hero, there's a list, there's a rich text. Okay, create. It might still it's not breaking low.
I
It's
know.
like
I told you
literally
it worked the
working.
other day.
Okay, we go to the CMS.
Let's see
Low is
what we get.
awesome. Components. Holy moly, is this like
Yeah.
actually working? Alternative
Yay.
homepage for technical leads with a clear view. Built with AI, quick start, latest blog posts. Holy moly!
It
Like
did
this is
it.
like honestly, yeah, I'm gonna publish this. Let's go to the preview. So it's there immediately. So we just built this page, and like these links are correct. It just goes like, and so
So cool.
what's interesting about this is how long was it ago, Christine, that we demoed this AI thing on ContentCon? 6 months? We worked on that for a long, long time back then, right? I built this thing in the morning. And it doesn't mean that this is comparable because this is just for this project in this niche, just to do what Lo and I need. And so, what I want to show with this is that if you have some product knowledge, you can build these things for your project, for your customers, for your colleagues, right? We could build this for our own marketing team now because we can just use that MCP server that I made just for this project to work just for that project because building is easy now. And it doesn't always work. We've seen some failures in this stream as well. But oh yeah, Christine, it was September. So it's like six
September.
months or
Yeah.
more. And so it's crazy you can build this if it's specific to one use case. If this has to work as a product for all content stack, very different story.
Right. Yeah.
But
This is a
I hope
very
that
specific use case.
exactly. But what I'm hoping is that this inspires people watching this, that if you use our Vibe docs, you can build these kind of things. Like there's these models know so much. And when you give them the base things, like it even has like quick references and stuff, so the models don't go wrong. And it's always says you have to make sure that you use environment variables, and like all the stuff that you see around. Yeah, I just wanted to like the end of this stream to be much more about what can you do to extend the CMS. Well, the answer is whatever the hell you
Pretty
want.
much anything. Yeah.
Because this is yeah. So Christine, that's a great question. This is 1,000% easy because we have APIs. That's it. We literally have management APIs to do all the things. So what I did for this project is like, oh, I can actually share my screen and show.
Yeah.
So I went here. Um, Open API spec content stack CMA. I think we actually have that here, or I might have to. Let's see if
Oh,
I can find it here. I think it's actually on GitHub here. I
yeah.
won't show you this one, but I'll show you the one for launch. So basically, what we have for all these APIs, if we go and run in Swagger, this is a bit nerdy, but you'll get there. This, once it loads, gives you this. This is the URL I wanted. So this is an open API spec for the launch API in this case. I found the one for the content stack management API. I gave this link to my AI agent and said, these are all the things you can do with this API. And you can see if they're a 204 response or there's a 403 response. So you're not allowed, or it doesn't exist, or it's broken. The AI will understand all those things. And I just said, make me a system that can do stuff with all the information you have here. And then it did it for me for our content stack management API. And then it's just a matter of saying, oh, but I want this blog post to have that field. Can you just add that to the call? Because it knows what to call because of this whole spec here. And if it
Right.
doesn't work, you can always say, well, oh, not this. Why don't you just read the documentation? Like you can also just go here and read it. The AI, that is. I haven't read a single piece of documentation. I just have given it documentation and the spec and say, build me a thing that understands this. And now we run. And that's a
Right.
really good starting place. And so on that website we keep talking about, where are we? We will actually be building pages with, like, okay, how do you actually build with AI? Like all the things I'm seeing now, we will actually explain, right? What is the content stack MCP? How do I use it? What are agent skills, right? And we have a bunch of skills to help you getting started. And this is not a finished page by far, but it will help you to, do those kind of things.
Yeah. It's a good start for sure.
I think we have 8 minutes to
Yeah.
spare. Do we want
Yeah.
to do something crazy, or are we good to go? Are there any people in the audience who want us to see us build something even? What do we do
Yeah,
in eight?
let us know. Otherwise, we tend to get in trouble when we just try to just,
But it tends to work also.
but it's fun.
Yeah,
What do you
it is
think we
fun.
could do in 7 minutes?
Do we build another? No, it's crazy. We could
Yeah,
make like, it
I
depends.
can tell.
If
I
there
can
is
see it in your eyes.
if anybody has a question in the audience about basically my monologue just now about how you should be building your own stuff on top of a platform, maybe we can talk about that now a little bit, because
Yeah.
the future will be that building is cheap. It's relatively easy once you get the gist of how to do it. And then the moment you do that, it's all about the taste of what you build. Because you can build 1,000 apps that all suck. But if you build the one that you know works, and so, Patrick, we are crazy, but maybe now that we only have 6 minutes, the crazy might not finish.
Yeah. But I don't
So,
know how much
Ira,
we can do in
actually,
6 minutes.
with Claude, actually, you can. We didn't really demo that part, but if you look at my screen, I'm literally just building like these pages now. These are not final by any means, but if you in Claude, this works this way. But if it's in Claude code, you might be able to do it in like a one-liner. So our MCP needs authentication, right?
Yeah.
And so this is the current MCP that is at this moment in like an alpha version that we kind of like, but not really. I have to be honest. I'm building it, so I can say it. And um, we will be releasing a new one at the end of quarter number 1, which is only if, like, for us, Q1 ends in like April. which means I only have until April to build this whole new product, but we're doing it. And so this automatically authenticates for you. But in this case, Ira, if you wanted to use this one, you just run this. So you get an OAuth token that it's actually storing it on your local machine. So you have the OAuth token, and then you put this in Claude and you just run. Like most of this, like Ira, if you were late, like we were showing this, oh, where is it? The local host thing. This whole thing was built with Claude Code, essentially. This is like our
Yeah.
little CMS. And like the way this like editor integrates with Contentstack and how we can add images and all this. Oh, that's me a little bit big. Sorry about that. Like all this like crazy stuff, like the page generator, the content importer, it's all built with Claude Code. And my MCP connection that I have to the Contentstack one is in there, but we also built a custom MCP for this one, so it knows our project specifically.
Yeah.
And
And the one
so,
thing I'll say about choosing to add your own things on top of the CMS, that's great. You can do everything, but within the process of building that, you should consider your capacity for maintenance, right? So, what is
yes,
your capacity to maintain this tool that you actually built and people are using? So, think about that, and that'll help you sort of think about the scope of adding on and, building a tool on top of it, or whether or not it's actually something that will be useful or helpful. So those are questions,
exactly.
you want to ask before, unless you're just playing around. But when you're talking about production stuff, those are some of the questions you want to ask.
What I kind of like are what you're saying here is like you're doing bulk changes to your entries, right? Me too, because us developers, we don't want to go into our CMS. So the other
Yeah.
day on this website, right, we have these kickstarts. Here, this one. There's a bunch of those pages, right? And we also have live streams. There's a ton of those that are all on link or on YouTube. I didn't want to go to YouTube and copy paste all this stuff. So rather than using the MCP, I actually did something more crazy. What I said is like I went to Codex this time and I said, okay, this is a temporary management token for our stack. This is the API key. This is a list of YouTube IDs. Can you just please figure out my content model for live streams and then go to YouTube, scrape the information and make me the assets or make me the entries? And so it made me the entries in 2 minutes. And then I just recycled that management token. And so I didn't even need my MCP. You just tell it
Yeah.
what to do. And the craziest thing is it made a skill based on that because it thought I would do this again.
Again.
But how crazy is it that the Codex decided to make its own MCP or its own skill? So I would do this again. And yeah, so I don't want to go into any CMS anymore. I just want to talk to an agent says, this is my data
Yeah.
model. There's all my markdown files. Can you just
Yeah.
put it in, please? And it does.
And it's
We
because
have
it's
Anna.
also thinking about like not just what you're asking it to do, and like it maybe makes decisions about skills, right? Because it has access to what everyone is doing essentially. So maybe that is a common behavior that it noticed. So it was like, oh, people typically do this pretty
Exactly.
regularly. I'm gonna create a skill so we can do it easier next time.
But I didn't realize that it would do that. Like it's making its own code. I think Skynet is not far off.
Yeah.
Um, Anna,
I
this
knew
is
you were
really
gonna talk
great.
about Skynet.
Yeah, let's not talk about Skynet yet. Well, that
That's
that
so
conversation comes back in
cool.
6 months. So Anna, can you elaborate a little bit on this? So you built a utility essentially that updates your content models. That is really nice. But aren't you worried that it just hallucinates another field? It probably won't because it's an MCP,
Yeah.
so it kind of knows. But
But that's also why you check, right?
exactly. Yeah, I'm
That's
excited
really
by that.
cool.
And like everybody here who uses like our MCP, please talk to me because we're building with my team the new one. It's going to blow your mind. It's very different. It's going to be a first on the market. It's going to be much better than the current one. But if you have any questions or if you have any um, you know stuff that you hate, tell me because we can still put it in now. So for the folks here, we are probably connected on LinkedIn, and if not, connect, talk to me, and so we will
Yeah.
put your stuff in. That's still possible.
Yeah, because I want to hear all the awesome use cases.
Yes.
Generate types and TypeScript.
Oh
I do
yeah,
that too.
you're on
Yeah.
it. I like it. So we have a skill that we're not. It's not ready yet, but it actually is a skill that's a CLI helper. And so if you wanted to create types for your app, you can just ask the CLI to install the TypeScript generator for your stack. So you could even do it programmatically with the CLI. So you don't have to rely on MCP. But as you can see, many ways to Rome. It kind
Yes.
of just works. That's where you have APIs, right?
Oh, me too, Ira, because I really love
Oh
Claude. It's the
yeah.
most
Like
like human-centered one of them all.
I think jobs in the future will say this is your salary and your other benefit is tokens.
His tokens.
I think we just need benefits as tokens. Um,
I don't
yeah, I
I don't
just
know, we
opted
might
for
be
the
getting a
hundred
little
bucks a month now.
dystopian.
Yeah, this is time is changing and it's great.
That means it's time to wrap it up.
It is. I appreciate everybody commenting and saying all these amazing things that make me excited for MCP.
Awesome. And again, if you have any questions, please let us know. We're always around. You can email us, you can message us on LinkedIn. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Otherwise, you can go to community.contentstack.com. If you want to have a free account for whatever reason, you just want to play around in a playground and experiment with this stuff, you can totally do that.
Yeah, there's no link here for that, but it's on that page. It's like it's called an Explorer account. You'll find it there. All
Yeah.
right, everyone. Thank you for watching.
All right. Take
See you
care,
soon.
everyone. Thanks for
Cheers.
coming.